the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful, and the most advanced. Today is December 8th, 2025. It's 2:40 p.m. in Toronto, Canada. I am in my car in front of a Tim Hortons. I'm using the Wi-Fi. I have my laptop here, and I find myself in one of the most important moments of my life and one of the coolest moments. I have the privilege of being one of the early birds to explain to all human beings here. I never thought I'd reach this day, do you know? Why? Because I never thought I would become, you might think this is arrogance, but to me, there is something more to it. I never thought I would see deeper than reality, the reality we're all living in. I never thought in this lifetime, from the moment I was born, that there will come a moment where I will be able to see a blind spot of the species. The mere uh, existence of this moment I'm in, it's like it surpassed goosebumps. Like, I don't know how to explain it. But anyway, it's a very cool time to be alive. Why? Because nobody knows. Nobody knows. On some level, the blind spot that I have accessed, the title of this lecture is The Conclusion from It. I find myself that I don't know how a person finds the strength to do this, but I think it's pretty much like the ignorance bliss thing. And so you're gonna hear a human being explain this world in a way that hasn't been before. That's the novelty aspect of it. So what is it? I'm saying that when a species, first I wanted to write the title, when a species realizes it's a field of intelligence, but then I was like, man, the species can't get over the void and I can't ignore it. So when a species realizes the void is an intelligent field, or the moment is a field of intelligence, and in some sense, what is the value of this realization? And so I am right now in 2025, in this exact moment, a human being that if extraterrestrial, whatever, if some traveler or tourist to Earth asks me what's going on here, and I will be like, you're legit witnessing a time in human history where our minds are ahead of our bodies, and we're living as if an idea of ourselves owns the moment. And there's something there. There's something heavy about realizing that the greatest intelligent activity that organisms have found themselves to be capable of is in some sense reflecting their inner life externally. You idea. That means they have contained you. It's so easy. It's as if, like, if I wanted to cage a species, if I wanted to convince that in an unknown world everything is known. You see, I am legit doing a counter tactic. What that means is I was born in a world where everything, just the way everything is organized, is they're idolizing the self. You are in a self-idolized world, and you are most likely trying to even, in some sense, advance yourself in the presence of your world. That's what everybody is doing. They're living for a future self that they are hoping to be. I am suggesting that we have been conditioned. Every person you see has been conditioned to contain themselves as an idea with a name, and their whole life is this self obsession with what happens to this character in the story that I have access to. In other words, it is wondering about meaning. And I'm telling you, they've divided. It's not they. Like, I don't want to create an invisible enemy because that is the stupidest way to inspire people. Do you know what I mean? Even though it does bring out power, but it's the stupidest way to make you go against something as a psychological entity is to make you fight yourself. You understand? That means most people are not actually responding to what is out there. Forgive me, folks. To continue this lecture, there is a soul here in this moment in existence. It's very deep what I'm saying because I am contrasting what we are, what to us appears as what could be now. When a species realizes, first I'm going to explain, when a species realizes itself, it positions itself. The current existential position, or the way it can be explained, the way that human intelligence is positioned now. Every day you wake up and you have to decide what part of yourself are you giving away and for what return. Even though the general wisdom is to not care about the return. because in a reality that all were free, there would be no need for truth. It is simply the fact that we are in a position that still holds an unknown value. The current human existence, even starting from just looking at myself in this moment, there's a biological existence. This biological existence is found in an awareness of a moment that appears spherical. Just like how light illuminates the darkness in the room, the awareness, the experience of awareness illuminates a meaningless realm into possible meaning. It is clear to me that we have an objective self in 2025, and we manage this objective self by identifying with a subjective self. However, even though we don't act like it, people are changing all the time. It is fair to say not only neurons are moving, but the brain is inside a jar of liquid. So it's like treating the human energy as something that is flickering if you saw it as light, or as in something fluid, as if like the balance of it constitutes the certain range of access event. To me, I am tasked, like the challenge of this lecture is to attempt to explain to you that they're trying to convince you that your objective life and your subjective life is the only thing that matters. And if the future generations are born not wondering about the unknown self in an unknown world, pretty much it's intelligent activation through a conditional object, then through a conditional subject. Then you begin to realize life doesn't need to be lived as just a noun, that forces can be alive even though they do not have a body. They are a force, they are the movement. The movement in itself is a being. When I say that the species realizes itself as an intelligent field, it means it is the recognition that this world of ours, if we wanted to comprehend the nature of the mind, it's like a field of intelligence, and the body is a node in that field. And the body is what is enabling you to, in some sense, identify at all. It's because you're separate from the world in front of you. So we have an objective separated self, and then we have a subjective separated self where the idea of you and the idea of me are different. And we're just living in this realm of ideas at this moment. That means you're not seeing human life. You are seeing an unknown force as if the idea of itself is true. Longest time, I asked myself, why is there a requirement for the addition of another soul? Why isn't my soul enough to be the whole moment? Why does the moment include intelligence that is irrelevant to the original intelligence of my existence? In other words, I'm asking myself, all right, in 2025, what was life like? You were an idea. You had a driver's license, birth certificate, passport. You had an identification to letters and symbols and we were a symbolic being, living in a symbolic life. In the madness of a world we cannot understand, we have created order. In the nature of reality, the presence of truth, to not fear life because it ends, but to enjoy it because it has began at all. And where is it going to? All of our lives, it comes down to this question. I think it doesn't matter at some point what shape or form of a being you are, you're wondering about what is the meaning of anything happening. Like, what will happen to all this? I am telling you to live as and as a subject is not the only way to be alive. You're alive in ways that your purpose is not limited to your expression. You can find meaning beyond your expression. You could be someone who's just born in one country with one language, and then you will move to another country with another language, and out of necessity. You can't really tell a pilot, you know, but they've understood the necessity of continuing on. To me, on some level, I don't know how to say it, but it's like we're so easily accepting we're humans and we're ideas of humans. Like a part of me is just shocked sometimes. Like, have I been just thinking in a human way? Like, what is the human? It's a state of consciousness. That means if you have a human body and you have conscious behavior, that means just it's a range. It's so obvious to me that if the settings were changed, the person would become a completely different person. So that this is the funny thing, right? That we are noticing that our conditional life, the true presence of the conditional life. And there's levels. Excuse me, as a lot of people would say, there's levels to this shit. You know, perhaps there will come a day where a species, like it's funny, in 2025 we feared the unknown. In the year 3025, 25, we were the unknown, we knowing everything. It's just a conscious unknown. I know it. It's the next evolutionary step. Own self, there has always been an unknown. It's like, have you noticed the dimensions you consider to your being are the dimensions your reality flows to? What is greatness in a world bigger than our eyes? Can see its edge. song is too heavy. The blind spot that I see is that from the beginning it has been an unknown world. We have been unknown selves, and the human psychology or being is a condition of an unknown being. In other words, you were present, and then a self came into the picture, and then a name came into the picture, and then memories came into the picture. You are the space simultaneously where your life is happening. And the human consciousness as the realization up to this point that we're on a planet, right? And we can't, like, how do I explain it? That there's the observable and unobservable state of things. That means there's ways that we're being that maybe the future generations understand and we didn't while we were being. So the question comes that you're listening to someone say, hey, bro, this is all the field of intelligence, right? And the body is a node, and a node is connecting all the different reality, and it's kind of like you're an antenna. You log into being a biological antenna that is receiving the environment around you. Therefore, it is a complete shift of consciousness from self idolization. It's a divine surveillance state. The moment is being made, the moment is existing in an awareness that far surpasses ours. And when a species realizes the edge of its mind with a field of intelligence, the divine cognitive field, that means as someone who's for years talked about the inner realms and explained it to you, and it doesn't matter if you're finding me in the best or worst moment, it is the presence of something moving here, regardless of anything that changes. It is the recognition that the highest intelligent interaction level for an organism is the recognition that not only are we not alone, all beings arise out of an originally commanded being. There is an original moment. I am giving this lecture not in the original earth. We are not in the original world, but the simulated world is existing in the presence of the original. That means if like, see, this is the fascinating thing about religion, where if you just take a more of a geometrical approach, there's such miraculous wonders about just the theological conceptual position. Okay, that it's as if like, okay, so you're telling me I'm a simulated, like my body's simulated for some time, based on my effort, the moments are simulated, and life as no longer being a node in a field of intelligence means that right now, because your body is in a certain condition, you find yourself. But it's about wondering if you were, what would your unconditional presence of being be like? That means if I have in this realm, that means I'm this being born in 1991, and I'm realizing this is all a simulation. But it is not just one simulation; it's a sort of onionized, like legit, like simulation inside simulation. Okay, it's like a concentric simulation, like a concentric sphere. And what I mean by this is that the true reality, if we choose not to identify as a conditional being, that means to some people there is death. To some people, there's no such thing. It's not about death. It's you realize your own being differently. So I'll give you. I'm trying to see how can I humanize this more. Okay, if you ask me in 2025 who I am, I have an answer for you. But if you ask in the future, like you ask me, okay, let's say right now I had the awareness of 3025 in the year 2020. Example, hypothetical. That's just the known aspects. That's just the tip of the iceberg that is visible. The true for its conditional being, expression. So I'm here being like, okay, guys, if we want to use conditions to figure out what we are, the conditions are endlessly changing. It's like a changing world. Okay, there's like, and what goes on in this world, like the type of world that awareness has found itself in, is a world that is conditional, but in that conditionality, it's as if there will never, like right now, I'm alive in December 8th, 2025. I am seeing that day. I was alive on that day. I was on this planet that day. It's like I have the option of considering myself as just this, what I see, or I have to wonder about what is the value of that which is doing the same. It's like, am I seeing what I'm doing, or is seeing a type of doing? You know what I mean? Is it even possible to see doing? Can a verb notice another verb? Like, pretty much living as a field of intelligence means that you're not living the whole day as an ideocentric, an ideological entity. You're listening to someone who has a love and hate relationship with language. When you use language to explain reality, it is beautiful. When you use language to explain yourself, like, sorry, I should say differently. It's like when a person identifies with language, I hate it. But when a person uses language as a tool, I that's incredible. And that's the thing. You've opened your eyes in civilization that has conditioned you to treat the tools you're using as you. So if back in the day the person was holding a sword, and now in the modern times the sword is an extension of you. To be honest, it's so fascinating how there is any, like, do you know what souls are to me? Even though it's unknowable, as a Muslim, I don't know what the soul is. Man knows very little. And the unseen, it belongs to the system admin, just like the seen does. But because we're here, we ignore that. That means to me, if somebody was like, Mr. Within, how do you get out of this simulation of existence? I'd be like, you got to find the system admin, and it's up to the system admin's mercy. That's it. Like, that's the actual way to get out of the simulation. But I'm saying, as a species living inside a simulated reality, it's all about becoming responsible for what we don't understand. rather than ignoring it because we just chose to be responsible for what we know. That means how many moments in your life have you as a person wondered what else could have happened if I had done something different? It's natural. You as an intelligent being wonder why intelligence is being active, why it is moving, why out of 8 billion human beings in different types of human lives, you have arrived in this moment that you are in now. Why we are all like 8 billion, like you guys don't see it, but I see it. It's like it's 8 billion advance the crew of sent on Earth to advance civilization. All of you don't realize. You have forgotten that the purpose of life was all of it, not just a part of it. And yet, man gets caught in his dreams, not realizing his dreams shackle him to the outcomes of specific worlds. But if truth is truly unconditional, it is beyond the conditions of our mind. That means it was the hardest thing. And I don't know how all of us are going to do it, but we have to. If the future generations you got to start in the human odyssey, the greatest journey that you have ever been on. Like somebody could go climb Mount Everest, and I'll be like, buddy, that's a nice journey. But get this, it's the journey of a species and what it thought was the void, and then realized was the mercy of how the higher planes were designed. That means a person calls out to God only to realize God had answered their prayers before they were born. Faith is the ultimate state. Faith is what happens when you realize you were not the node in the field, you were the field the whole time. Your imagination, like I can explain the inner realms. Do you know, like I'm not like, how do I explain it? It's not like X-Men where I could start a school, but right now the only thing that is very unique is the ability. It's the ability of your species. Like I'm realizing like why the F has everybody been having an ego on themselves when the greatness is dependent on what we all do. Like, it doesn't matter if 10 people did the right thing, if everybody did the wrong thing. There has to be a revolution. And it is that point where the heart of decency is in a battle, and it should never be. There's something about divinity that a part of it must be protected and shielded. It's like you don't understand. Um, our civilization's greatest effort is like a flickering candle flame. And the moment you realize life is more important than what you thought, when you notice the flickering candle flame, a part of your soul. I'm getting emotional, guys, because I remembered I experienced a moment where I guess this comes with having being a futurist. It's like what's the disadvantage? Not disadvantage, but what's like hard, what's difficult about being a futurist? We are mind living ahead of your time. Anybody who wonders about tomorrow's even can be considered a futurist, but it's about the depth of it. Do you understand? That means the access to reality beyond identity, the decency of the soul of man at all. You know, to me, there's something happening here. To be honest, there's a part of me that never thought about control. It was more like, yo, man, I feel like something's happening. It's like this, it's like you imagine there's like a concert or there's like a live performance and everybody's running to see it. So in the same way, I feel there's a divine performance on this planet. And it's like my whole life, I feel my soul has been looking for it because I was raised in I was conditioned to think that I'm a nice guy. And then I looked into my inner realms and I saw the intensity of identifying with an inner self. That means it takes time. It's not that easy. Do you know what I mean? In the same way, think of it this way: imagine someone angry and hysteric and trying to, in the middle of that, be incredibly calm. It's as hard as that, what I'm telling you. Because when you live too far in the future, you cannot avoid the tears of what you witness. I am living different kinds of lives as one moment of life. My body is living a life here, and behind my eyes. And so I'm that person teaching it this way, trying to get the species to kind of adopt this. You know, for me, the advancement, the sincere advancement of a species towards the most advanced state it can fathom in the furthest reaches of its awareness. It is the greatness of mankind. It is the greatness of your species. And so, a part of you, how do I say it? It's as if you care, but then anger. That means we are so lucky. We are so lucky. The species, I'm sorry to say this, but in compared to our ancestors, it's like you go find the most savage, most dangerous alpha and human on earth in 2025, and you're gonna see their pipsqueaks in front of their great grandfathers. Do you know what I mean? Because the intensity of what they had to tolerate compared to us who've tasted, comfort, and then we're like, but the world's an uncomfortable place. What the fuck, And so, in some sense, the nature of the presence of being, to me, it's as if you don't understand. It's not about being the main character of your own life. To be honest, I believe this. I believe that could be a deception. That means if you don't see it, right? Because people think that, for example, if there was, I'm a sci-fi writer. What does that mean? That means I'm also somebody who has my inner realms are visual. They function visually. What does that mean? It means I pretty much see films in my mind, and I've learned to, with something of like, I don't know how to say it, like at some point, in the same way everybody has their own handwriting, or when if everybody wanted to be a writer, it would just be everybody would have a different inner voice. But for me, I it's not through voices anymore. That means I used to, in my inner realms, it was communication based. I don't know how to explain to you that to be God conscious means that a person's self simulated meaning they give to something is not the final meaning that thing can be given. And I had to come to terms with this realization that as a Muslim, I could do something that feels right to me, or I could, and at the end, in the, afterlife review, the system admin might be like, it was wrong. That means I am not the final judge of myself. I am not the judge of my own being. There is a higher power. There's an administrative system. It's so much more advanced, but like the most humorous way I could explain it to you would be in the same way you look at a company structure where there's employees, managers, and then there's the owner of the business or something, right? Imagine this, right? So similarly, religions, if you saw them, all human beings starting off as employees, angels, even shaitan, these are moderators, or I would say these are managers. Okay, they're managing sectors of existence. We are in right now being tested to see how do we manage ourselves when there's an anti-human force moderator. Okay, and the whole point of it is to break. How do I explain it? Islam is saying go directly to the owner of the world, and the owner of business is not in the business. The owner of the business has multiple businesses. In the same way, of course, God cannot be humanized, but in the same way, Muslims say the term Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And this is one of the most advanced and most beautiful sentences in existence. And what it means is all praise due to the Lord of the worlds, plural, worlds. That means everything in all worlds. That means if you thought about, for example, this is why I'm saying God is unconditional, it's not conditional. I was not raised Christian. I respect all prophets as beings that were way more advanced than I can even fathom. And to me, I am not judging because only the system admin knows what's in the hearts of every being. I don't know anyone to even be able to judge them regardless of what I say. But I'm telling you, life changes from advanced minds to advanced hearts. And advanced hearts is a collaborative intelligence where I will say God is watching. It's, how do I say it? The system cares for you. There's moments where, I felt that the world, this is, it doesn't have to do with people. It was like I just woke up and the day was a bit dimmer the whole day, and then one day I woke up and it was the brightest day, or then there came a moment where the moment became dark, because it's the geometry that entered the moment was ignorant of the field, of the divine field. So what it is it's honestly, how like matrix code, like Neo suddenly sees all that green matrix code, right? And then dodges bullets and everything is super easy for him, right? You know, in like the Matrix, the first movie at the end. So similarly, I am telling you, as a religious Muslim, I am looking at this world, and this theologically aligns. I am looking at this world, and I'm seeing natural law. So I'm just like Neo in that scene. I'm seeing the wall, right? I'm just seeing the wall. And then suddenly I realize I am in a commanded simulation and everything's position is in accordance to how it was commanded. Because through the theological lens, the higher power commands existence. Okay. We're Anyways, what I'm trying to communicate here is that us living as ideas, us as beings, as unknown beings in an unknown world, and at some point our ancestors freaked out and started naming everything and bringing reality into a lesser dimensional. So I'm telling you guys, like this is the most hilarious, probably one of the also ingenious ways to kind of look at life. Think of it this way, that your body and manifestation is lower resolution life, and just like YouTube, you can go and click and make the video like higher resolution HD. I'm telling you, you can live a low resolution life. You can live a high resolution life. The high resolution life is dependent on a realization that the highest resolution is not something you click on. Do you understand? I don't know, how do I explain it to you? Truth is more important than the ideas on it. That's the point. I'm saying, like, right now, what would I do? I'll create a hypothetical scenario. I'll kind of like show you what like a normal day in my mind looks like. Okay, it's like wondering about like, okay, like I have these playful moments where I wonder about the depths of things. Okay, and it's like me wondering, okay, if right now I suddenly, in all the dimensions of my life, I was offered the best version or state of them. That means I'm not married. I was offered like the best wife or something. Do you know what I mean? Or I wasn't rich in some sense. I was offered like I don't know, one of those. What do they even call them? Like those, like it's the ATM would just show infinite money, the infinity symbol. You know what I mean? It's as if in all dimensions of life, if I was given everything to the point that I had no reason to do anything in the world, would I accept everything or not? That's like sometimes my mind fathoms if suddenly imagine a shimmering light being came in front of me and was like, all right, I can give you heaven, do you want heaven? And if I was truly wondering, do I want heaven, like what does that mean, do I want heaven? That means it's like imagine midway in your life you're trying, like you got to be judged at the end to see if you were worthy or not. And life, like they're giving you, they're like, yeah man, you can just go to heaven. And the being's like, wait a minute man, I don't know on some level, because I don't know what it means that I am in heaven. To me, my whole life just snapped out of all the ideas I was ever told. And I just realized, okay, man, if it's like life is designed for you to not only realize yourself as an unknown being, but you're the only one who can be responsible for it, because you're the only one who has access to your inner realms. You and God, actually, but God is not an for individual. That means here's an argument. uh, if Christ, for example, from the Christian, so see, the whole point of it is Muslims, God is unconditional, no condition can equate it. But if you were Christian, God is a condition. And the only way a Muslim I can explain Christ being God is if God wanted to. Man cannot understand it or accept it. Do you know? Because it wouldn't make sense to man. That means only from God's perspective, God is a being that can do anything. Therefore, God can go and manifest as its own son, right? Do you know? But from the human perspective, because everything is a simulation, truth cannot be in the simulation. So we're all in this situation where we're like, I don't know, man. We have access to this world, but we don't know if this world is just it. Like you telling me there's more than this, yo? And so the species has just been looping in just a certain range of existence. Like, what the F? And they're like, man, your talks are too deep. And I'll be like, excuse me, we don't know what the edge of the world is. What kind of depth are you living in? We're on a planet right now. We are calling it a planet. We're naming everything. That is the most human thing. We start naming things we don't understand. We start identifying things, and we start positioning things in meaning before we've understood that their meaning could surpass whatever we position. And it's about the heart of man. That means you can live whatever life you are, but if you're missing that decency vibe at the core of your being, a part of you feels betrayed by itself. Do you know that means it's like the moment I realized, man, I thought I could just others could be mean to me, others could be cruel to me. Do you know others could be rude to me? Only others could. And then I realized, wait a minute, others could lie to me. No, I could lie to myself. I could be cruel to myself. I could fight myself. It suddenly unlocked to me that it was my belief in something having to be something to have meaning. That means truth is one of those things that if it's true, if even if you let it go, it's still true. We're living in a strange world. There's worlds inside worlds. Do you know? Therefore, meaning that we are in a multidimensional situation, yo. It's yeah, we get it. It's one life, same substance, liquid state, gas state, solid state. These are all like solid, liquid, gas state. You know what I mean? Like We're like, oh my God, the same energy is identifying as a material. Like, we don't know if we are right now humans identifying with energy or energy is identifying as human. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that argument? Somebody's like, hey man, what are you? It's like, I'm energy. What do you mean? It's like, I'm energy, bro. I can't be created or destroyed. Therefore, I'm eternal. That means if energy was awareness, therefore done. That's legit an eternal being right there. It cannot change. The awareness to the change is like, I don't know how to say it, the vitality. It's somehow I feel like the way the body's intelligence is functioning is situational, but the way the mind's intelligence is like, how do I explain it? My body is like an eagle landed on a branch, and my mind is like an eagle that it flew to the sky, saw all the trees, and then came back to the branch and moved onto another branch it chose, onto another tree. We must not ignore how advanced it can all be. You know, before they had the concept of mind, do you know what people thought the mind was? I don't know if many people have wondered about this. Like, how would old school people, like without having the concept of a mind or even knowing the brain, treat it? And they had their own complex geometry to it, and it was pretty much, they saw that there was a soul. How do I explain it? It's as if, like, sorry guys, my attention drifted for a second. I was going to explain the geometry of the old world. So they didn't have a concept of mind. They considered themselves a soul. They did have a notion. They did have a sense of being a soul, and they saw that what the soul did. They saw the mind as spirit, and spirit was the shadow of the soul. And guess what the soul was? The shadow of God. This is illuminationist theory. This is not something, I'm not like, I personally believe in something unconditional beyond the condition and, explanation. But I'm saying, like, this is a view, because if I was an unconditional being, I would really have nothing to say at that point. And I don't know, like, are we the communication of an unconditional being? Is the communication of a unconditional being conditional? It's fascinating. Just the fact that we're all here, just the fact that there's this force within us that moves us at all, that there's anything moving in reality, that languages are like servers, where it comes to knowledge and understanding and the true nature of intelligence, the true presence of reality. It's like, at first you were trying to think about all of it, articulate it as thought by thought by thought, and then suddenly something changed. You ask yourself, what presence am I? And in what presence am I? What a sentence. What presence am I in the presence of? How far can it all go? And to live as a field of being means that an idea is not strategizing your heart, you're living from your heart. It's like, the closest people living like that is like maybe Keanu Reeves, like actually how the actor lives. It's like, let me tell you, if they told me who's a more advanced being, and there's like, they show me one human being that just lives simply, lives, goes and finds himself in the moments that he's needed, and then we'll be like, okay, then we have this other being who's just choosing to stay in one moment and build something in that one moment. What is the true nature of it all? from in my experience, the emotions that are making us choose what to be shift when you realize it's a field of intelligence, and you realize that um, I gave a talk years ago called Giving Your Soul Back to God, which means you realize that your soul is that unconditional part of the moment, and God is the unconditional part of the moment, right? This is why the soul is unknowable to man, and yet the body and mind are the conditional sector of our being. And so, the depth of this is fascinating. And anyways, I thought I'd share this. Thank you for listening. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful, the most advanced. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. That means everything simulated returns to the original. Death is not the final moment, but the return of awareness to its original state is. Thank you for listening.